Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and this morning I was not on my channel, but I was instead on Steven Crowder's, meaning that I was invited as a guest to join in. There was a segment of this video, specifically Lindsay Clancy and the mass psychosis of Western women. I'm gonna make my own video about this freaking monster of a woman, but let's not get there just right yet. So, I had a very interesting conversation with Steven Crowder this morning. As I say, anyone who wants to invite me, I'm more than happy to join in and talk. The entire discussion is almost an hour long. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share some sections that I found to be very interesting, and then I'll provide some extra commentary here and there when I feel that I could add some discussion, clarification, or expansion, and you'll be able to discern which one is the one from this morning and which one is me from today, because I switched to green for this, while the recording with Steven Crowder remains my standard blue and red. However, due to the fact that there is a lot more, and it was a very long segment, if you want to watch the rest of it, you should absolutely go check out the original upload, and you can find the entire conversation here on Crowder Bits. As you can see, it's being posted. So if you want, go check it out to complete it and finish it.
Metatron YT on YouTube and Pure Metatron on X. Please welcome to the show. I'm very excited, Mr. Metatron. Metatron, how are you, sir? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you. Thank you so much for having me on, Steven.
I'm so glad to have you on. And I apologize. Early on the show, I said you were Greek, and then they informed me that you're not. You're a gay.
That's exactly.
I don't know where I got that you were, probably because so many of your videos, center around history, and there have been so many inaccurate adaptations, maybe of Greek mythology, things like, do you think maybe that's why? Because you seem to cover a lot of the Greek stuff, and usually Italians and Greeks don't get along that well.
No, we love each other. Una faccia, una razza is what we say. One face, one race. Particularly because I'm from down south. I'm from Sicily, so the very, very Greek, if you will. And also because, one of the reasons why I talk about ancient Greece is because of all the LGBTQ propaganda stuff. So. Okay, so now Steven asks me to sort of talk a little bit about my personal experience, where all of this started, and I'm going to leave this section because I think it's important to see the perspective from which we actually address other points later on.
That's a very interesting one, because you've touched on this probably better than anyone I've seen. And let me just ask you, well, first, a couple of questions. You started off as a history guy on YouTube. And like I said, a lot of that, and I think a lot of people have misconceptions about, they're like, well, the Greeks were super gay. It's like, well, yeah, they'd have like a boy on the side, but they still didn't have gay marriage. They were like, well, you do that as like a power move. You don't marry him. Come on, we're not absurd. How has that morphed into what you're doing now? Because you still do history, but like I said, I never want to mischaracterize you. I know you've waded into more culture politics too.
Yeah. I do want to clarify one thing just to add it. Yes, the channel was mostly known for history, but it's always been a very eclectic channel, meaning that if you look at the first 2 years of content production, I did history, I did video games, I did piano playing of Chopin, language learning, and as years went on, I started tackling some controversial topics like blackwashing of history, the LGBTQ modification and rewriting of history. This never really was only a history channel. It's just that the historical stuff is probably what I'm known best for. No, yeah, for sure. So it started 12 years ago, mostly history and language, because before doing YouTube, I was a teacher in high school, worked through the EU funds of university and research itinerant. So I would go to Sardinia, Sicily, north of Italy, south of Italy. But then what I would do is that because history is my passion, then after teaching foreign language acquisition, I have a degree in Japanese, minor in Mandarin. Then, after school, I would come home and be like, hey, what did the Romans, Imperial Rome, Western civilization, the glory of, the medieval period and all that. And so I started making videos about it. And then people started asking questions, not just about the helmet, the armor, the shield, but were the ancient Egyptians black? And I would say, no. Were the Greeks black? No. What about, were they all gay? No. And so Transgender Viking, I don't know if you heard about that one. We can talk about it if you want.
Yes.
So yeah, I started answering questions, which means I got hated by the left. So they started calling me a bigot. I'm a proud bigot, by the way, very proud bigot.
Yeah, good for you.
Make sure we're clear. And so all of that counterattack, I started weighing more on the culture war, always in connection to history,
right?
Until 1 year ago. 1 year ago, Charlie Kirk dies, I explode.
Yeah.
So I started making hit pieces on Hasan Piker, Destiny, and all these people. And I removed my channel policy, which used to be, I only talk politics when in connection to history. Now I don't. Now I'll talk about whatever, because someone has to do it. And in the educational sphere, they are terrified of being called buzzwords.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
But let me ask you this. I want to rapid fire because I remember a few that really stuck out. I want to get to Viking Barbie.
Please.
Cleopatra, when that happened, that was a big controversy. Was Cleopatra black?
No. Documentary. They turned the entire family black, not just her. One of the most inbred families that kept as genetically pure as much as they could. In fact, inbred. They would not touch. No, they turned everyone black. It was insane.
Yeah, everyone was black. By the way, did you ever see Rome on HBO that predated
yes.
Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Cleopatra there turned out was quite a bit more accurate. She was quite the whore.
I mean, politically, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, she had
with a political spin.
Let me ask you this: is this true? Because I know that, as I understand it, it's not. But there was a rumor for a very long time that she would have a gourd of bees and use it as a vibrator. And I understand that's not true, but there were sort of Egyptian sex objects that they used.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not specialized in Egyptian sex toys, but...
Since when?
You're no Italian. You're supposed to be a lover. Let me ask you about... Okay, you mentioned Transgender Viking. That's one that maybe some people here aren't familiar with.
So I'm going to let myself answer his question, and then I'll add some very interesting information, and I'll show you what video it is where I covered this. Yeah, no, that was insane because, again, I have a team and which people, very capable researchers to help me out with the history. And the thing is that, so there was this story pushed by the left where they were saying that they found these bones and the bones were, well, female, not that they would use that word, female bones, and then next to shields and axes. So, of course, what would you think? What's first thing come to your mind is that like an actual shield maiden? Is that real? No, they say, no, it's a transgender man, meaning a woman, a female who identifies as a man. They start pushing this idea. It's complete nonsense. We look into it. And my team and I were like amazed. Okay, so basically they mixed the bones with the funerary kits. No one knows. This is said on the museum page. Mm-hmm. All you need is a click, not a deep analysis. They mix the bones. We don't know if the bones belong to that funerary kit. So the whole story they spun about Transgender Vikings, which is nonsense, there was no such a thing, was based on nothing. And it's thin air, but that's what it is. Okay, so this is what I was referring to, is the Burqa grave BJ581. And as you can see, there is a lot of articles that talk about this. Gender roles beyond the grave. 1,000-year-old remains in Finland may be non-binary. This is the video where I actually cover it. It's a 26 minutes and 9 seconds deep analysis where we destroy the entire thing and I show you and mock multiple articles that run with this nonsense. And then I prove the statement that I made that the information about the mixing of the material goods in the funerary kits was available on the original website all along.
Yeah, and you see that a lot too. You'll see it, for example, like when they go two-spirited. That's a bit, they'll go, there are many Native American communities that, and really the term was invented only a few decades ago, but you also find some people that are like, oh, okay, he's a little light in the loafers, I guess we'll tolerate him. But the idea that society was based around countless genders, there are no examples of that actually being the case, even if there are outliers. But they present it as, see, this was the norm. We're the first people to not get it.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's complete insanity, and it's propaganda. It's what it is. And you have to stand up for it, because now it used to be just a bunch of woke nonsense, but now it's in academia and it's systematic.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because you mentioned at the museum how you're only one click away. You know, we saw what I believe was Donald Trump and the Smithsonian. How much do you see this, as being a history professor? Do you see it in the institutions where they completely disregard accuracy in order to push an agenda? Because it seems unbelievably rampant now.
Yeah, and it's basically a it's a copycat of what happened in the 20th century with totalitarian regimes, because that's what they did. The Nazis did it. The fascists in Italy did it. It was a thing, not to mention USSR, communist, Stalin, whatever. They take control of the educational system, because that way they can make sure they can breed a new solid voting bloc. This is what it is. All right, jumping in here for a very important clarification. So when I say that these regimes try to breed a new voting bloc, let me specify what I mean by that. Of course, when we look at these totalitarian regimes, then it's a one-party state, so there is no voting. So in their case, what they do when they indoctrinate in the early forming years of all children, and then they continue the propagandistic indoctrination all the way through academia, the academic year, what they're doing is they're making sure that no one is ever going to be a dissident, rebellions, or people that want freedom. Because if you're born in it, and then you're continuously told that this is the right way, whether it be National Socialism or USSR under Stalin is irrelevant, then to you, that's the norm. That's how you live your life. This is normal, and you're never going to rebel against it. So they breed you, and those people that remember how it was before, eventually they will die, and you get breeded out. The creation of the solid voting bloc through this system is what they're doing now through academia. And of course, all the way down to first graders. Elementary school, why do you think they're pushing all of the LGBTQ and left-wing gender ideology and anti-white sentiment to the children? Because that way, the parents eventually will die out. So if the family was progressive, great. If the family was conservative, irrelevant. We got the children now. They'll vote for us. Yeah. So while they're propagandizing everything, and you really think about it, how can we use the same term, university graduate, someone with a degree, when it comes to someone with hard science background, someone who can engineer the transistors of a chip and send people to space, and someone with a degree in gender ideology?
Right. Well, I think... Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying the first one helps with the betterment of our species. The second one is parasitic in nature, and it's only a way to become a vector of propaganda. Is what it is.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because I think the primary difference too, and this gives us a path forward. You look at fascists in Italy or USSR. By the way, it's a different form of authoritarianism, or the Nazis.
Yep.
People look at it historically and go, okay, those who had political power, meaning you're the president, you're the prime minister, you're the supreme ruler, right? They used history as a form of propaganda. Whereas in the United States, they'll go, hey, Donald Trump is president, so that can't happen. They don't understand that it's about seizing institutions, and this is the failure of conservatives, of the right, where we have allowed subversives like the left and the Marxists to seize power of institutions. So it's actually at odds with our society. It's not propaganda for those in political power. It's propaganda for those who fought this long, slow march.
Absolutely. And then you see situations. I don't understand how someone like Hasan Piker is invited and given a microphone to, regardless of the rhetoric he has pushed. And by the way, can we talk about this freaking Mao Zedong cosplay that I heard you mention a second ago? Yes. So I got to say it, I'm sorry. In China, they have Mao Zedong. Here we've got Mao Zedong.
Yes.
This absolute clown.
I know. Also, you don't get to dress like Mao Zedong when you have $2,000 glasses and completely unnecessary jewelry. You don't get to be like, look, by the way, I always say this, Casio keeps time just as well. You don't get to claim to be a socialist when you have rings and a necklace and an expensive watch. These are just like you can't claim to be an environmentalist if you have a fragrance. Completely unnecessary. You just want a few more bucks. That's it. You're a hypocrite, but not just a hypocrite. You don't believe what you're saying. That's, for me, the litmus test.
I would say, and you might think I'm extreme, I don't know, denaturalize and deport him and his uncle with the bestiality statements, if you remember.
Yes, I do.
I've got it saved. I saved because people tell me, no, it didn't happen. I have it saved. I have the clip. Here is the clip.
Here comes the controversial part, the part I shouldn't say. I believe that if I were the ruler, the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, where you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying?
I double down, denaturalize and deport, and I show it periodically. It's champagne socialism is what we call it, right? It's a champagne. And again, I'm a normie, right, when it comes to the political space. I can't give you an analysis of the political policies. I don't have an understanding of economics, although arguably neither do socialists. The reality is that this guy doesn't deserve to be in this great country.
No, he doesn't.
That's what I think. And I don't understand how he gets away with it. That's for lawyers. I don't know how he gets away with it.
Well, he'd be happy in China, don't you think?
He claims he would be.
He's wearing he literally wearing Mao Zedong outfit, which, by the way, was not cheap, I'm sure.
No, it was not cheap. That's a Chanel Mao.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Chanel Mao. I will say, though,
Dolce and Zedong.
Yeah, Dolce and Zedong. I will say, he actually is a good example to point to, because you go, how is he allowed? Okay, now you understand academia and the media in our institutions. These people have been allowed. And the reason is because no one on the right has a stomach for it, because we don't want to be accused of being a Mussolini. We don't want to be accused of being a fascist. If we say, you're not allowed to be here because you hate our country and you seek to destroy it. If you denaturalize, deport them, people go, see, you're just like insert fascist here. No, it's not. If you hate this country and you support our enemies, you should go live amongst the enemy. And this absolutely brings me to another one, because we'll get to we can't not talk about the Odyssey. But AOC said that woke 1.0 was so crazy, like, oh yeah, we went too far, which means there's woke 2.0. And you cover film, things like this quite a bit. I mean, I watch your stuff all the time. Are you seeing that play out, meaning the way I see it is a more subtle version of subversion, woke 2.0? And what do you make of the Odyssey and what happened there?
Nolan. Okay, so when it comes to the Odyssey, and I did a double take because I had to make sure I give you the right numbers. I made 71 videos on the Odyssey and Nolan, and 300 tweets. So I may need professional help.
No. You're the professional. You help others.
Okay, great. But yeah, no. So what's happening is that they are using media, as you know, when it comes to our hobbies, whether it be video games, whether it be movies, whether it be, you name it, they use it to push the message. And I hate it because it's, politics, particularly the kind of left-wing radical nonsense that they push through these otherwise beautiful, fun things, it ruins it because hobbies unite and politics divides. So the two things are mutually exclusive. And when they infect, because that's what it is, leftism is a disease of the mind. And so when they infect stuff like this, they ruin it. And it pisses me off when, as a man from the Mediterranean, it pisses me off that they use something like Homer and they insult him for being misogynistic. I love that part, by the way, with Lupita Nyong'o, Spanakopita, Helen of Congo. This is what we got. No Helen of Troy, Helen of Congo. That's what we got. And she is complaining about how misogynist Homer is because he doesn't give enough screen time to women. And then, what's his name? Christopher Nolan gives a 3-minute screen time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what are we even doing?
It's 3 minutes of Congo time. Yeah, it's better than nothing. But yeah, this whole thing is like, if I could talk with Homer, I'd say, why wouldn't you include women more? Have you read it? Have you read the original poem? Like, it's not really made for you, and that's okay. If you don't like it, remember the left used to say, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Well, if you don't like the classics, don't read them. Precisely.
And in fact, but she admitted she didn't read it.
Right.
They don't care about this.
She probably can't read.
That's a possibility as well. But Metatron, that's racist. It's a joke. It's a joke. Here's the thing, though. When it comes to the race swap, which is a major thing, they've been doing it. It's not like this is an isolated example. They've been doing it for over a decade, which is part of woke 1. Whatever the heck they're calling it.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to stop. They are going to. Maybe now they feel a little bit that it doesn't really resonate with the audience when their audiences in voted blocks when they talk about defund the police, which, by the way, how does that even work? I don't even, maybe, yeah, exactly. So maybe you can explain to me what these people are asking, because if it's anarchy with no law enforcement, they wouldn't last 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what they're asking for. And that's the thing. They say, no, we didn't really mean it. They absolutely did. And places that defunded the police saw the highest spike, ironically, in black homicide, right? Black homicide victims of anywhere else in the country. So this is what they did. They quietly started refunding the police, but the original proposal was self-policing and sending in social workers. And what that really means when you understand that they are socialist, right? And they say, we're also going to remove people's guns. And we're also going to redistribute wealth. It means they will have a military. They will have an armed enforcement mechanism, and there will be no more local police forces. So it's really scary and sinister when you look at the whole plan. And by the way, this is on the DSA's own website. So it's not like we're just pulling this out of nowhere.
No, of course.
I do want to continue to ask you about your experiences in Europe, Japan versus the United States. But before we go, what would you say, as someone who's taught history, people need to be most aware of and look for? Because a lot of people are going, okay, I can't tell the difference between propaganda and what's accurate out there anymore. Do you have kind of some guidelines for folks like that, in addition to your channel, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would like to say, and this is an answer based on history, ancient and modern, don't give up your guns. And the reason why I say that is look at Europe now, which really kills me inside as a European to see what's happening there. And when you look at, for example, the UK and someone like Sir Keir Starmer, peace may never be upon him in the United Caliphate. Look at what he did. He gave they have no guns. They can't even carry, a British citizen can't even carry a pepper spray.
Right.
But this guy is giving an exception to the Sikh, I think it's pronounced, to carry swords. What did they do? They introduced the business end of that blade to someone, Henry Novak, unfortunately. He gets killed. What does this guy do, the traitor of the West? He doubles down. He's not going to remove the exception. So now foreigners have the ability to carry weapons, a dagger, whatever you want to call it, but native citizens don't. What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, that subverts the actual system. But as far as like people consuming content out there, because it is tough. That's why what we try and do is we make all the references available every show. So if we make any factual claim, we can be fact checked, and we browbeat ourselves, admonish ourselves. What would you say to the average person out there? Is like, look, I don't have this much time to invest in education or politics, but I feel like I'm often being hit with propaganda. Are there some good kind of tells for them to look for?
Yes, for example, I would look for buzzwords. If you look at the website, official website of the University of Waterloo in Canada, I've covered it multiple times on the channel. They have this entire language guideline system because language control is part of propagandistic systems. It's always been. And so when they start telling you that, for example, you can't say foreigner, you have to say international person. By the way, I'm an alien. Call me alien all you want. I love it. Alien from deeper space. Yeah. They hate that word. They say that you can't say minorities. You have to say equity deserving groups. One, why do they always make it longer? Right. Two, the reason why they want you to say that is because that way you spread the message whether you believe in it or not if you swap the language. Right. They've done that with man, female, black. They change everything. Black capitalized, white lowercase. Right. That's on the official website. It's absolutely insane. So when they look at as a scapegoat, when they want to do this collective guilt and they make it racial, with white people, when they say the cause is white supremacy. Oh, they said white supremacy, red flag. Like, we need to start using these as red flags.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the main video that I was referring to. This Canadian university is out of its mind. I'm going to show you very quickly. But I also have a second video, which is this one here. A Canadian university teaches anti-white dogma exposed. Now, the one that is really the strongest case is this one here, and as you can see, equity deserving groups is preferred, avoid minority visibility, minority, avoid colored, blacks, African American, you have to say black people in capital uppercase, but when it's white people, avoid Caucasian, and white needs to be lowercase, and it's the entire thing. You have to say enslaved person, you can't say slave, and all that kind of stuff. Every time.
That's a very good point. Right? We did the same thing. If someone unironically writes Latinx, or if they say cis, I go right away, that's an asshole. And it's funny that you mentioned alien every time, because my mom is Canadian, my dad is American, we travel back and forth, and every time we'd go...
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, well, exactly. I believe me. No one hates Canada more than her. She wants us to take over Canada. We'd go through to Plattsburgh, New York, or Champlain, New York, and they'd say, okay, country, your residents, and my dad would go, we have 3 Americans and one green card here, 1 resident green card holder. And my mom would turn to the border security and she would go, beep, beep, like an alien. I'd go, Mom, do you stop doing the beep, beep joke? But she had no problem with it. All right, I want to ask you a few more, but it's Metatron, YT on, we're going to have this in the lower third, and Pure Metatron on X. We're going to continue here on Rumble Premium if you got a little bit more time. And,
of course.
And I'm so glad to have you here. My brother and I have watched it. We're like, have you seen this thing? We're like, yeah, it's bullshit. Cleopatra wasn't black, but she was a whore. You've got to go watch more videos. So go watch Metatron, and if you're not a Rumble Premium member, click right there. We'll take some of your chats for him. Toolman, we must go. Everyone else, you go on to watch Haley. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. All right, Senor Metatron. I want to ask you a couple things. So you said, did you say you have a minor in Mandarin? What did you say?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So my major is Japanese and English foreign language acquisition, and I lived in Japan for 4 years, and I have a minor in Mandarin. Yes.
So do you speak Japanese and Mandarin?
Hey, feel free to skip this if you want, but claims need to be proven. So I'm gonna do a mini compilation of me speaking both Japanese and Mandarin in 3, 2, 1, go.
今は日本の病院の中にいて、この病院から逃げる必要がありますで、彼女の後ろに窓がありますが、この窓から逃げられません。ということで、正面にあるドアを開けるしかないですね。怖いですけど、船の場合は走行でやってると思いますけれども、建物の場合は、 ちょっとわからないんですね。日本語、ぜひ教えてください。まず、このゲームのシステムの説明してみたいと思います。基本的に、ベラちゃんは子供ですから敵と一切戦えません。他の登場人物と違って、武器を所持していません。つまり、敵にバレちゃうとゲームオーバーとなっており、明らかにできるだけ、見つからないように進みます。そんなに複雑ではありませんが、死人が多いですから気をつけないといけないんですね。一般的に彼女の体が小さくて、このレベルにあるいろんな狭いところにも隠れることが可能です。家具とかロッカーなど、例えば、目の前にあるベッドに集中してください。近づくと×ボタンを押したらベッドの下に隠れる。
大家好，欢迎来到我的频道，我是梅塔特隆，我是意大利人，但是我会讲一些普通话。今天我们来玩一个恐怖游戏，就是必点世界，这是 Chilazart 开发的游戏，我觉得看起来很好玩，我们开始吧。新游戏我开了吗？啊，不好，打工的时间就要过了，得快点坐上车才行。今天的游戏是欢迎九龙，画面真好，很好看。非常真实。为什么这么空？赶个鬼啊！俺去出差了。要是放在外面入口的店里，你很漂亮，我很喜欢这个电子游戏。音乐不错，先生，你好，你好。我们找到狗粮了，那现在我们可以喂狗。我喜欢这个房间，这是我的房间吗？不是，我们可以喝茶。我渴了，我喜欢喝茶，但是咖啡是我的最喜欢的。Oh yeah, yeah. Well, my Mandarin is a work in progress, but my Japanese, yes, I lived there for 4 years. I only spoke the language, so it was fun.
English, Italian, I would imagine. Japanese.
Oh yeah, I'm great. My Italian is amazing.
What are any other languages?
Yeah, I mean, Sicilian, which I do consider a separate language, it's a regional language. Some people call it a dialect of Italian. They're wrong. It's a dialect of Latin. And so I do like to include it. And then, I did study French, but I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, I speak French, and it's pretty much a useless language. I mean, how many fags can you talk to over cigarettes at a cafe? Now, let me ask you, what was living in Japan like for someone like you?
I loved it. I really liked it. I was part of the workforce there, worked a lot, was doing multiple jobs. And mostly the reason why I was there is because I really wanted to get to fluency. And to reach fluency in another language, at one point, it's good to move to the country where they speak that language. And it's one of the best ways to learn it. And so I really liked it. I mean, Japan was great. It's fantastic. We have a lot to learn from them, including when it comes to the topic of immigration, by the way, because Japanese don't mess with that.
No, that's what I was going to ask, how they treated you. They're like, oh, we needed one more guinea. Yes, please, right this way.
That's a good impression. Bro, I'm here editing in the middle of the night. That was funny. It was funny. I don't care. Look, think about it. If you think about that's racist, he's doing an impression. Bro, you guys do impressions of the Italian accent. Come on, you speak like a Super Mario. I don't get it. To Italians is fine, but no one else? No. Equality of treatment. We need to be able to do that. It's right. You can do the Italian accent, but I can't do the accent. Come on, pack it in. Seriously. It was funny. No, they loved me. They loved me because my skin is white.
Yeah, I was going to say, we run them like, I used to follow Pride Fighting Championships. Those were huge in Japan, pre-UFC, way bigger. Yep. And Bob Sapp was this monster, big, giant black guy. And they literally had commercials with him eating, double fisting bananas. Like, she didn't good enough. Fight the man. And you're just like, they don't care.
That one. No, they don't care. They don't care. And no, but the Japanese are great. Plus, when you speak the language, you connect more easily with people. This kind of works with all people in general.
Yeah. Well, they're also I think they're respectful people, obviously, but they're probably pretty appreciative that you are going there and learning their language. But once it got to 3% immigration numbers there, they were like, oh, something must be done. They were like, absolutely not. 3% was a bridge too far. So that's Europe could learn a thing or two. Let me ask you, the biggest difference between Europe and the United States, and how long have you been stateside versus being in Europe?
So in America, it's been now, I believe, 3 years probably, and I actually passed my citizenship test.
Oh, congratulations!
Just recently, so I'm very, very happy about that. And I think here is one thing I want to say, and then get back immediately to your question. But the reason why I think I had a very positive experience in Japan, I'm having a very positive experience here. I lived in 3 different continents, is because I always did it from the perspective of respect. You move to a country, you do it through the proper channels, you respect the culture, you understand you are the different one, you learn the language. So people come here, don't even speak English. What are you doing? Trump is absolutely right. We speak English here. He's correct. The culture, the dominant culture, you have to integrate. Don't break the law, follow the laws. It's a simple concept, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Assimilation.
Yeah. And then we take Italian food, and then we just like add a lot more cheese and sauce, and we're like,
salt.
Bang,
and salt.
That's one thing too. I will say, food-wise, being raised in Canada, French Canada, American food is often too salted and too sweet. Very often to me. We have great food here, don't get me wrong. But
I love it, yeah.
But it can be there's always a little more salt and a little more sweet because of Americans' palates. Outside of that, what would you say is the biggest difference, Europe, the United States?
Bigger difference between Europe and the United States? I guess I'm not surrounded by Muslims. And then...
yeah, well, depends.
Well, depends on where you are. But apart from that, so one thing I do miss about Europe is the coffee culture. Because, like, particularly in Italy, there's this thing where you go to a cafe and everybody knows you by name. Of course, my name is Raffaello. That's my name. And so people call me by name as I enter. Hey, Raf, it's fun. Whereas here it feels a little more transactional sometimes. But then again, there are pros and cons in every place. Another thing there are things that I love and things that I hate, right, about Europe right now, particularly after living in the US. Like, I love your concept of freedom of speech. I loved castle doctrine. I love all of that. It makes logical sense. But in Europe, good luck with that.
Right.
Like, with those kind of ideas. And then there are different, culturally. I do miss the historic sites, particularly like in Sicily. I could drive 15 minutes and be in the actual original battlements of ancient Greece 3,000 years ago, see the temples. That I do miss. Yeah. That's something I miss about Europe.
Yeah, same thing in Canada, where I was in Montreal. You have cathedrals that are older than this country, really. Right. I always say, though, a lot of these places are where folks go to see the beautiful things that were, and they come here to be a part of the beautiful thing that is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it is for sure. I mean, this is a very young country that people forget. I mean, historically, though still the longest standing constitution really in the world that we have right now that hasn't been radically modified every few decades or so. Did you have a question there, Joe?
Yeah, I do. So I love history. And what I've seen lately, and I'm sure you've been monitoring this as well, is there's a lot of revisionist history going on right now.
Yes.
Stephen kind of touched on this just a little bit, but is there other than your channel, are there people kind of getting together saying, hey, we have to preserve this? Because once you can kind of repeat a narrative over and over and over again enough times, people will start to think that actually is the story of what actually happened. Is there this movement that you see of people trying to preserve actual history instead of rewriting it?
There are some, both in, but the problem is that it's unfortunate it's a minority, which is one of the reasons why I decided that I needed to speak years ago about this whenever people asked. Because what I see is that people are terrified of the left. Meaning being called racist, being called all the buzzwords, fascist. By the way, I'm a proud bigot, but also far-right grifter. Absolutely, that's me. Because that's the thing. It's a form of mental manipulation. We all understand that. But literally, I watched channels where the host is being asked a question. What did the ancient Egyptians look like? And he says, like human beings, you coward. Here is the proof. This is the video. Check this out.
What did the Egyptians look like?
All right. So how are you going to respond to that, Professor?
They look like human beings, like any other human beings.
No. Professor, what's your name again? What's your name? Chris. No. Use the sources and tell it how it is. I double down.
Right.
You know why they asked that question.
Right.
You know why they asked the question. And so this happens both with the LGBTQ movement. It helps with race swapping, the white supremacists, colonization. For some reasons, it's always European bad colonizers. But what about Islam?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they did slavery. They did all the other stuff.
They still do
very well.
Okay, so here it's the part where I'm going to skip a little bit because, again, if you want to watch the full show, do click the links in the description because he has posted it on his clip channel in its entirety. But I do want to now attach the segment where we talked a little bit about race swapping and then add a little more commentary, and then we'll call it a day for this. And then, again, if you want to watch the entire thing, do check out their channels.
In other words, when there's a race swapping the other way, we go like, even when I saw The Last Samurai, the one with Tom Cruise, he's like, look, I fight with honor. I have Bushido spirit. You're like, this is silly. It's a fun movie, but it's kind of silly. I get he's supposed to be a Westerner, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, like, we always would get it. Like, all right, we'll give you that one. On the flip side, where they blatantly do it as a form of social engineering, they really defend it. That's the big difference.
Yeah, you know what's funny about the race swapping? Actually funny, just to say, I'm not going to scream out loud at the microphone now. But what's insane about this is that it's only unidirectional. It's always everything European is for grabs. You can race swap everything. But then they would never cast Tom Cruise as Shaka Zulu now, would they? And the reality is that whenever I address people, because the left either denies it, that's what they used to do, it's not happening. Now they say it's happening and it's good. That's what they're doing. But then they tell you it's all about the skill of the actor. It's the skill of the actor. Oh, is it now? The skill of the actor. So once again, cast a blonde chick to be a African queen of the kingdom of Meroe or the kingdom of Kush.
Right.
They would never do that. And every time you address them, they never answer this very simple question of basic inner logics. They can never defend it.
Yeah.
So in the following sections, we spoke about martial arts, which was an unexpected topic. We talked about raising kids bilingual. So once again, if you find those topics interesting, I'll skip them for now. I want to keep the video at around 35 minutes. Okay, so there is one part where we spoke a lot about totalitarian regimes in the 20th century. We spoke about fascism. We spoke about the way it creeps into education more. So I might, if you're interested in that, I'm going to keep this video to 35 minutes, but I could sort of react to that section, add it, and add more stuff and expand if you found this one interesting, and I could make a part 2, if you will. Anyways, massive thanks to Stephen Crowder for having me over, and do remember, whoever you are, if you have a podcast, you have a channel, and you want to invite me to talk, I'm more than happy to do so. Any topic. And to you, noble ones, thank you for watching. And also thank you to anyone who has arrived and is new. Bye.